Morning, everybody. How are you doing today? You doing all right? It's a cold and sleepy morning. Mm, Sí me escuchan bien, chiques, ¿cierto?
Sí, sí.
Bueno, right. All right, so welcome everybody to this new session. And today we should be studying a little bit about paragraph writing uh, regarding for and against essays, and we're gonna study a little grammar also. Um, in this case, about report speech, revision of report speech. Um, so here we go. We're live on YouTube, yes, and just like the last checks in this case with the sound and the image, the video. Hold on. Yeah, we're done. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys right away. So yesterday we were studying a little bit about foreign against essays. I'm gonna be answering your questions about foreign against essays. Um, Cualquier problema técnico que aparezca por ahí, me avisan si me caigo o el mic se pone, el micrófono se pone medio trucho y cosas por el estilo. So paragraph structure. We're gonna define a little bit what a paragraph is, what topic sentences are, supporting sentences, and concluding sentences. This is pretty much like the breaking down of in this case of the parts of any essay, okay? Because every essay is composed or consists of paragraphs, of course. So we need to understand the nature of a paragraph. So basically, a paragraph is a group of, in this case, words in a piece of writing in which you have a set of ideas which are, in this case, similar among each other, and then they compose, in this case, a whole paragraph which has first a topic sentence and ends in a concluding sentence. So it's a whole unit in itself, right? It has pretty much like an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So it's a representation of the whole essay, but in this case in a smaller version. You see, so it's a pretty much like a smaller repetition of an essay. En Spanish sería como que es, en este caso, es un ensayo más chico, un ensayo dentro de un ensayo, como un fractal, así que se repite de lo más chico a lo más grande y cosas por el estilo. Why? Como les decía, the first two lines is what we say, what we call the topic sentence, which is pretty much like the statement in which you declare what is the topic of the paragraph, right? Then you got the next lines are, in this case, the arguments or the different, supporting sentences with the citations, with the examples, with the definitions, etc. And you have to wrap up or conclude this paragraph with sentences which, in this case, close the idea. So you can see here, for example, this paragraph about gold. Um, of course, you got this subtitle, but normally you're not going to see subtitles in essays, right? Not in this occasion. The for and against in this case doesn't take any subtitle, right? So how do you know what the paragraph is about? Because of the topic sentence. So you can see here that the topic sentence should be the first line. Gold, a precious metal, is prized for two important characteristics. So with the first line, you already know what the paragraph is about, and should be that way all the time, right? Your first line is declaring what the topic is in this case for the paragraph. Then we start using, in this case, connectors, like for example, first of all. When you use first of all, you're going to introduce an idea, an argument in this case, and then you start including your supporting sentences. The rest of the sentence, like for example, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. The lines in this case are supporting sentences, and within the supporting sentences, you got citations, examples, definitions, and so on. And in this case, this line number 10 is the concluding sentence. In conclusion, gold is treasured not only for its beauty, but also for its utility. And what is the topic of the paragraph in this case? We already indicated it is gold. What two main points does the writer make about the topic? So if we go back, normally we need to understand the characteristics of gold. What gold is, and the different features. In this case, the the elements which make gold so important. Gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion. So that's one characteristic of gold. So it pretty much is an argument in a supporting sentence. Therefore, which is another connector, it is suitable for jewelry, coins, and ornamental purposes. So you're given like more, in this case, information about gold, right? Gold never needs to be polished and will remain beautiful forever. Supporting sentence, talking about the same thing, the nature of gold. Examples. For example, let's say the connector. Macedonian coin remains as untarnished, blah, 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 blah. So another important characteristic of gold is the usefulness. So you gave an example in this case related to the first argument. And then with another marker in this case, or with another, in this case, connector, you introduce as a second idea in this case. Another important characteristic of gold is its usefulness to industry and science. So in this case, you're talking a different thing within the same paragraph. We don't talk anymore about the beauty or the resistance. We talk about the applications to industry and science. Another example can be used in hundreds of industrial applications, photography, and dentistry. You see like more examples of applications. And then more applications in the field of science, in this case, astronaut suits, where gold-plated heat shields, etc. And then we conclude, right? So we introduce pretty much like several characteristics of gold, couple of examples, and then we got our paragraph in this case. What else? Which two sentences does the writer say that there are two main points? We already indicated that. We said that. We say, for example, first of all, gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion. I think that's the first, in this case, argument or supporting sentence. Then we got another thing. Another important characteristic of gold is its usefulness to industry and science. Here we are introducing our secondary topics in the paragraph. The rest are examples and ideas that support these sentences. Okay. What else? What examples does the writer use to support each point? We already indicated that too. Examples with the application and examples with the coin in Macedonia, right? If you got any questions or comments, just let me know. You can interrupt me or you can use the chat, okay? Let's continue. So topic sentences state the main idea. We already said that. They limit the topic to a specific area. So for example, we are saying that the paragraph is about gold, and that's it. We cannot talk about silver. We can't talk about iron. We can't talk about anything else. We're going to deal with gold. And within, in this case, the topic sentence, we have what we call a controlling idea. So we got, for example, again, the topic sentence in full. Gold, a precious metal, is priced for two important characteristics. But within this topic sentence, we got the topic, which is gold, and the controlling idea. We may say that the topic is gold, a precious metal, right? And then the controlling idea is two important characteristics, or I would say is priced for two important characteristics, okay? Why? Because we can say that gold, a precious metal, and we might say a different thing, like a precious metal is, in this case, the used as, in this case, or we can say that is used in the stock market, or is traded in the stock market, and or it's, in this case, very valuable because of its for commerce, and so we're in this case directing the the paragraph into a different field in this case, but we're saying is priced for two important characteristics. So I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to tell you about two different ideas about gold. I won't necessarily deal with gold as a in this case, a currency in the stock market, right? I'm not gonna be talking about gold like the reservoirs in the United States or Russia, for example, like the in this case, how much gold they have. I won't be talking about that. So this specification in this case is given by the controlling idea, right? Gives you like the limits, the parameters, and that's it pretty much. Then we got the supporting sentences, which come right after the topic sentence. What is the function in this case? They develop the topic sentence, of course. They give you extra information. For example, first of all, gold has a lustrous beauty that is resistant to corrosion. For example, a Macedonian coin, another important characteristic, and the most recent use of gold is, the supporting sentences in this case. You got examples, and you got, in this case, characteristics or applications. And concluding sentence it indicates the end of the paragraph in this case, and we use a marker like in conclusion. Okay, so let's talk about the different need to talk about the different markers. I'm going to show you a different, in this case, presentation to deal with connectors. Hold on a second. Got it around here. For against. Yo había ponido, aquí está. No, no es este. It's not this one. Ay, no, se me perdió. Come on, where is it? Ponido mi presentation por aquí. Check out this one. Aquí está. There you go. Get this. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. What do you think is the purpose of the type of essay for and against? Yeah, we have dealt with this before. Parts of against the introduction, body, conclusion. Yeah, we already talked about this. Yeah, there you go. Linking words and expressions. Okay, which is in this case pretty much like the connectors. To list points, we use these ones. Of course, there are many more, but these are just examples. First of all, in the first place, to begin, to start with. Secondly, thirdly, finally, right? So if we want to list, in this case, different characteristics of anything, we may use these ones, okay? Linking words in this case, or connectors. To list advantages in this case, one, in this case, advantage is another advantage, maybe the second is a further advantage, an additional or a major advantage of whatever it is, and then we name it. Or the greatest or the main advantage of blah 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 is. In this case, we're talking about pro arguments, positive arguments, but also we can list the disadvantages, right? One additional disadvantage, one major, and then we repeat pretty much the ideas, but dealing with disadvantages, okay? One drawback, which is a synonym in this case. Another negative aspect of blah, blah, blah is the thing. Then we got, linking words to introduce points or arguments or ideas for or against. For example, one, in this case, very convincing point or argument in favor of blah, blah, blah is tal cosa. One, for example, argument in favor of one argument against, death penalty is blah, 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 blah. A further common criticism of death penalty is blah, blah, blah. It is often claimed that death penalty is blah, blah, blah. It is suggested that death penalty, blah, blah. And so on. You got a lot of different ways to introduce ideas, could be argued, it is suggested that, it is widely argued, it is believed that. Some experts, many scientists claim that death penalty produce blah, 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 blah. Claim, suggest, argue, feel, maintain, believe, point out, agree, support the view that, oppose the view that. You see, so you can introduce different, in this case, pieces of argumentation in this case. Many, for example, experts are in favor of. Many, in this case, lawyers or people are, in this case, against death penalty because blah blah blah, or they are of the opinion, they are convinced that, they are opposed to. And remember that always we use, in this case, third person plural or it. You see, we never say I or we, for example, or you. We don't use those personal pronouns, never, in the introduction or the main body. Okay.
Profe,
Dígame.
¿podría darme un ejemplo del third person plural? ¿De cómo podría usarse en el ensayo?
No problem.
Gracias.
Como les dije, sí, sí, no problem. Como les dije, podemos usar they con sus respectivos, in this case, possessive adjectives. They, their, ok. But acá tenemos más. En el caso de some experts, tercera persona. Many scientists, tercera persona. Siempre se reemplaza por they. Most people. No, mira, persona.
Ya caché, pero ¿lo puedo usar para hablar de mí mismo? ¿O del ensayo? O mejor dicho, de quién escribió el ensayo. Algo así.
Cuando tú quieres hablar de ti mismo, tú dices
Sí.
the author of this essay.
Ah, oh, qué formal. Ya, ya lo tengo claro.
Exactly.
Gracias, profe.
No problem. Inception dice Benjamin y el toma dice combinación infinita. Ay, sí, esta cuestión es. Una vez que uno ya tiene los elementos, después los combinas como tú quieres. All right. What else? Dice, to add more points of the same topic, we can use also in addition to this, or in addition, furthermore, moreover, besides, apart from, what is more, as well as, not to mention the fact that, not to mention the fact that, or not to mention the, etc., as well, both, and, either or, right? Or the in this case the contrast. On the other hand, so with on the other hand, you can start, for example, counter argumentation, or there are some techniques in this case. Más que techniques, son como formas de organizar ideas. There are people who like, for example, to have the argument and counter argument in the same paragraph. Eso se puede hacer. En un párrafo, por ejemplo, ya uno dice, ya, yo voy a hacer 5 párrafos. Introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and one, the final is the conclusion de todo el ensayo. Y uno dice, ok, los 3 del medio son todos pro, con, pro, con, pro, con. Entonces los 3 del medio se usan, uno usa argument, counter argument. El siguiente párrafo, argument, counter argument, en el mismo. Entonces pelea cortita, ¿te fijas? Con rounds chiquititos que son dentro de los mismos párrafos. Pero para eso hay que usar los contrasting points, ¿cierto? Entonces yo digo, por un lado, on one hand, ¿cierto? Y después la otra mitad del párrafo, on the other hand. O however. Entonces, para decir, bueno, aquí voy a tirar el contraargumento. Still, yet, but, nevertheless, even so, although, though, even though, while, whereas, despite, in spite of. No sé, pues no está hablando de death penalty, por ejemplo. Ya lo tomo como ejemplo. So the death penalty is considered, in this case, a primitive way to control, in this case, crime because of blah 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 blah. However, statistically, countries which implement the death penalty have decreased the rate of criminality, blah 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 blah. For example, Singapore is one of the countries in which they have death penalty in the legal system and have almost zero crime. Y ahí tiene su argument and counter-argument in the same paragraph. You see? Por supuesto, redactado mejor de lo que lo he dicho. Okay, good. Any questions, any comments so far? All good? ¿Qué dice aquí los personajes de Bleach? Están todos atrás ahí como pensando. All right. Let's continue. To introduce examples. For example, for instance, such as like, in particular, particularly, especially, this is clearly illustrated. This is shown by the fact that one clear or one typical example of this consists of blah, 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 blah. You know, like many different ways to introduce facts, events, como lo que dije recién de Singapore y death penalty, todo eso. Of course, you can use counter examples. You can use an example for one thing, but then you get a different example. Tienes un different example que prueba lo contrario. Emphasize the point in this case. Clearly, obviously, naturally, needless to say. Me gusta esa frase, needless to say. Make general statements, like general as a general rule, generally, in general, in most cases, etc. But partially correct statement. Yeah. To a certain extent, to a certain degree. So in this case, you're going like more particular in this case. With general cases, we talk about generalities in general in most cases. But then with some exceptions, normally we use to a certain degree, to some extent, in a way, in a sense. This is partly true because blah, 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 y tenemos un caso, digamos, diferente. Then we have, for example, in other words, to clarify points, that is to say, que se abrevia I period, E period, ¿cierto? IE o IE, pero con los puntos y después viene coma. Eso sí, in this case is, that is to say, yeah. What else? Which means that, generally, to express cause, due to the fact that, because or because of, as, since, owing to express cause, effect, to express effect, therefore, as a result, as a consequence, consequently, so, for this reason, to express intention, to, so as to, in order to, so that, with the intention of, plus ing. Okay, so I think it's very, it would be a really good thing for you to check this presentation on UCampus, so you can recheck it, revise it, and extract what is useful for you guys to start constructing or building your essay. Okay. Yo vi ya que algunas ya me están compartiendo su essay conmigo y con Ivana, así que good job. Así que espero verles, digamos, ver sus ensayos dentro de las semanas, ¿cierto? O de los días que vienen. Y cualquier consulta que tengan, obviamente me la hacen, me textean por interno o en el grupo, como ustedes quieran. Ok, porque si no estaríamos leyendo esto for all eternity y no es la idea porque tenemos poco tiempo. ¿Ya? Pero en todo caso esta era la última slide. Ya, pero aquí también tienen más linking words or connectors. No comments, no questions.
Profe, yo tengo algo importante que decir.
Cuénteme.
Gracias, porque usted es uno de los profes más bacanes que tenemos.
¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Cuénteme.
Me sumo, apoyo.
Nah. Oye, ¿pudieron resolver ese tema o no?
Confirmamos.
Confirmamos. Sí, yo ya supe ya la copucha. Se organizaron.
Nah.
Se divulgó el Kawin, increíble.
Wow, no, ya se me lo ha hablado.
Somos de primer año, cabro. Vamos a dejarla acá. No, mentira.
No, qué mal.
No, sí, yo estudié en el PEDA y llevo varios años en el PEDA, así que yo sé que esto pasa todos los años, así que, y por distintas razones, así que yo no me espanto, chiques, así que no se preocupen. Si tienen que hacer cosas, háganlas, ¿no? Yo no les voy a decir que no la hagan. Bueno, eso. Entonces, ¿qué les iba a decir? Con respecto a paragraph construction, no sé si, bueno, no hay dudas, entonces pasemos al siguiente punto. Son las 9:20, todavía nos quedan unos minutitos. So let's talk about, in this case, report speech. Entonces vamos a cambiar de topic totalmente. Hold on. Presentar. Yeah, report speech. Like a quick revision in this case about grammar. A report speech is basically a way to report what someone or a group of people have said by changing some of the words said, but retaining the meaning, right? Like reporting the pretty much the same thing, but it's in a different way. For example, we got direct speech and reported speech. So, for example, could you help me is one, in this case, questioning uttered with direct speech. And when we say, or when we want to report this, we say, Alan asked us to help him. Now, it depends, that the report depends on many, many things. For example, who said, could you help me? Right? Supposedly this guy, right? Which is called Alan, but it could be any other person, right? Juanita, Juanito, etc. Or maybe a group of people, the class or the organization, etc. So the question is, who asked for help? Es una pregunta que hay que responder mentalmente. And what did he ask? So in this case, Alan, we got in this case a referent, asked us, nos pidió, no solamente nos preguntó, puede ser nos pidió también, nos preguntó, to help him. All right? Podría haber sido Juanita asked us to help her in this case. Or, for example, they, a group of people, asked us to help them. Right? So that's why it is very important, the reference in this case. El ask in this case va como un predeterminado, digamos, porque como estamos reporteando, tenemos algunos verbos que se usan. En este caso, que van por default. En este caso, el ask. ¿Ok? ¿Por qué? Porque es una pregunta o una petición. Y después el verbo help, in this case, se pone en infinitive. ¿Ok? Infinitive. Y este sería nuestro report speech de la pregunta, could you help me? All right. What else? Reported requests or offers, in this case. ¿Cómo se construyen? When we report offers, promises, threats, we can use the structure reporting verb plus to infinitive, como hicimos recién. El reporting verb sería el ask y el infinitive form sería to help. Okay. Plus of course, los correspondientes, ¿cierto? Possessive, no, perdón, los object pronoun in this case, object pronoun and subject pronoun. What else? Another one, can I help you? She offered to help us in this case. Es un reporting verb, sería offer, y el to infinitive sería el help igual, ¿ya? Decimos she porque claramente la imagen está acá, y help us porque estamos hablando de nosotros, ¿ya? si hablo de mí solamente, she offered to help me. All right. So that's why it is so important to understand who the speaker is, who the referent is, who the the speakers in general. What else? Reporting verbs that can we use in the structure if include offer, promise, agree, refuse, etc. Right. Yeah, it depends on the function in this case. Comunicativa. ¿Qué es una función comunicativa? Básicamente es un acto, una acción comunicativa con una intención detrás. En este caso es offer, promise. Yo hablo, pero con una intención. ¿Cuál es la intención? Ofrecer, prometer, estar de acuerdo, rechazar, pedir. Esa es en este caso es una función comunicativa o un communicative act. What else? Tenemos, ¿cierto? I'll work harder. En este caso ya no es una pregunta. It's in this case a statement. Entonces, ¿qué dijo Jackie in this case? He promised to work harder. You see here? No es que necesariamente él me lo haya prometido, me lo haya dicho a mí, sino que no es una petición ni nada por el estilo. Es una declaración. Entonces, he promised to work harder. He said, también el said es famoso. He said he would work harder, también puede ser, pero también puedo utilizar este verbo como función comunicativa. He promised to work harder. Or, for example, he agreed, in this case, to work harder. Tu acuerdo en trabajar más duro. Reported orders and requests in this case, which is not the same as questions. When we report orders, requests, warnings, advice, invitations, etc., we can use the structure reporting verb plus object plus to infinitive. For example, can you tell me how to read the word John? The girl asked John to tell her how to read the word. Reporting verb is ask in this case. John is the object. To tell is the infinitive in this case, plus more object pronouns and how to read the word. Yeah, this is pretty much like making this case the breaking down from this question. Okay. In this case, notice the change of pronouns. Yes, important. Can you tell me? So we're using in this case subject pronoun, object pronoun, you and me, and John in this case, like the different speakers. But cuando hacemos el reported speech in this case, the girl, esta chica, asked John to tell her, nos referimos a la misma chica, how to read the word, right? So be careful with this. So first we identify the speakers, of course, and then we use the different pronouns. What else? Reporting verbs that we can use in this structure include tell, ask, order, warn, remind, advise, invite, etc. Okay. So we can say, for example, the girl asked or ordered, for example, or the girl invited John to, or invited him to do something, right? Could be shorter. In this case, the girl ordered John to read the word. También podría decir, yeah? Like a shorter report in this case, like more summarized. What else? Amy, I think you should do your homework, said the mom. So what did the mother say? What did the mother say to Amy? Mother advised Amy to do her homework. Okay. Mother asked Amy, también podía ser, to do her homework. So it depends on the communicative function. It depends on the intention. Mother advised, mother asked, mother ordered Amy to do her homework. It depends on the intention, right? The intention. Okay, what else? Reporting negative orders in this case. Promises, advices. Not plus to infinitive. Negative orders, promises, requests, etc. For example, the dentist, don't eat too much sweet. And then we report the dentist asked Joe, or maybe advised Joe also, not to eat too much sweet. Not plus to infinitive. Okay. Some people say to not eat. It's possible, but it's kind of old. You know, like the modern English requires in this case not plus to infinitive. But if you read like older books, like I don't know, Shakespeare or Yeats or older authors in this case, even the Bible, you know, the Quran, all old books, in the translations, you're gonna see to not eat, right? But modern English in this case requires not plus infinitive. The typical changes of pronouns in this case, or the possessive adjectives, we usually change the pronouns in this way. The first person to third person in this case. Also second person to third person. We or us in this case. We don't need to change the first person pronoun when the speaker is reporting his or her own words. Okay. Piece of cake. For example, please be careful when you pass me the box. She asked him to be careful when he passes her the box, right? Or simply, she asked him to be careful. All right. But if you want to report a whole phrase, we need to use in this case the relative pronoun when. So do the whole thing, you know, report the whole phrase. She asked him to be careful when he passes her the box. Okay. So be careful with the change of pronouns in this case. So if you got clear who the speakers are, no big deal. All right. So we can practice right now. What time is it? Ya nos fuimos a la B, son las 9:33. So for you to practice, les voy a dejar con tarea entonces. Tarea para la casa la hace. Tenemos aquí en enlaces. Aquí, reported questions tenemos acá, exercise on reported speech. So you can do both in this case. There are 2 exercises here. And también yo subí este reported speech. Digamos, hay más ejercicios que siguen después. Ya para que lo vean en UCampus. Guys, any questions, any comments? No questions, no complaints.
No question.
Sáquense un paro, chiquillos. Nah, I'm just kidding. Have a great day and see you next week. Cualquier cosa me textan nomás.
Vale, profe.
Gracias, profe.
Thank you.
Chao,
Bye.
profe.
Bye,
Gracias.
teacher.
Chao, que le vaya bien.
Thank you.